the Fish in a Barrel reality show with your host Matt McKinley.
It's pretty good, but I've never been that bald. I've never gone skin bald like that.
Hey guys, it's Matt. Welcome to the first episode of Fish in a Barrel reality show. Notice I did not include the word shoot fish in a barrel or the word shoot at all. In terms of what the Not Nilk's trying to do to real spirits like you and me, that sort of nefarious act is implied. Also, I was wrong in what I said, I think it was the last video or two, about Professor X giving advice to Magneto and X-Men. Find that perfect place between, I said, anger and serenity, to find that perfect place for the maximum power for Magneto, so he could hoist up the Golden Gate Bridge as that perfect place between rage and serenity. Rage and serenity. And that's the purpose of the Fish in a Barrel reality show. To express the perfect place between rage and serenity and hopefully turn our rage and our ire towards the Not Nilk, the son of a bitch that's constantly trying to get up in our business and turn it into serenity. Because we haven't done this for several months, for the benefit of anybody that's new, what the heck is Not Nilk? I'll try to do 1 minute or less, but it may go a little bit longer. You have an adversary here, a spiritual adversary that's trying to block you in terms of the way you should be living your life, in terms of what the spiritual whole of you needs from this life experience. It's very similar to a Christian's depiction of Satan. It is here, intended to be here, in my opinion, from day one in this earth reality system, to be an asshole, to block you, to distract you. Now, the first grade truther likes to call out bad guys. Oh, Freemasons. And Matt, you don't talk about the Jays. You must be a supporter of those people. And if it has a name, if it has a face, if it has a logo, it's specifically mentioned on the news, that's not Nilk. Not Nilk is very vague. It's all these groups on a collective frequency to block and distract. It's everything here that's working against you. We're 99% of all the different component parts, and minions and alkalites don't even realize what they're serving or what their role is or how they're blocking you. It doesn't have a specific name. It cannot be pointed at like Melvin P. in a police lineup. It's a whole. It's vague. It's a frequency. Remember what George W. Bush said many years ago about the evildoers, about the T-ism people. He said, you're either with us or against us. That's a truth drop. That's Not Nilk. You're either going to operate on its frequency, live your life the way it says you should, believe in the science that Pikachu puts forth, or you're going to get off the ship. You're going to dive off the back screaming, Isaac serves poison drinks. You're going to dive off the back and row away. George Bush, it was a truth drop. It wasn't just about the evildoers. You're either with us, with Not Nilk, with those that are body snatched, or you're not with us. And we will not typically seek you out to put you in a gulag with rounded up people from Falun Gong, but we will marginalize you. We'll make you look foolish amongst your friends and family. We'll make you look like the boy that cried wolf. We'll make you a laughingstock. And you know what? One of the biggest hurdles in becoming a truth researcher is getting over what people think. Most of us that get close to graduation, we're not just saying this to make ourselves feel good, we don't care one bit about what people think, even our close family. This is true, not just saying it. Don't care at all. In a sick way, almost in some way, which is this isn't good. We need to squash this. It's like a heroin addiction, but we're starting to actually gain pleasure from ride with me for my pleasure. We're gaining pleasure. We're gaining some sort of sick pleasure in people around us rejecting us, and that's not right either. So in a sentence, Not Nilk is everything here that tries to lower your frequency and vibration down to its radio station. It's gigantic governments that spend trillions of dollars, quasi-government organizations that steal your money, villains like the World Bank and the World Health Organization. If you have put quasi in front of government organization, it's real fucked up. It's every president, premier, and prime minister. That's the 3 Ps. All the way down its chain of minions, down to your local weather person. Yeah, they serve it too, yelling to get in your basement every Saturday night when a cloud moves in. And the phone rings out at 5 in the morning. Flash flood warning. Get in the basement. National Weather Service forecast advisory. Shut up! Leave me alone! The Not Nilk is everything that tries to get up in your business, block your spiritual path. And most importantly, in terms of really what it's out to do, it tries to get this world and all the nonsense to be believed in. So people actually take it seriously, and their place here they take very seriously, and they seek its rewards and its promotions. Then they got you. If you have that mindset moving into the moment of death, you probably will be afraid of those archonic beings that are going to pop out of mushrooms. So to me, Not Nilk is Antichrist. It really is no different. A lot of Christians still seem to be waiting for something they can point at. In my opinion, that's the definition of falling for the trick. It's not going to pop up like, was it Omen 3 or Omen 4? The motherfucker ran for president or something. The guy with a 666 tattooed under his hairline ran for president. It's just not going to pop up. It's not going to be in the form of one man or one organization or anything that can be pointed at. Not Nilk, it's vague. Antichrist is vague. It's 1,000 or millions of component parts, right down to specific minions, like cells in a body, that lower frequency, that in general are anti-Christ, whatever that means to you, whether you're religious or not. Not Nilk to me is very similar to Antichrist. One last time, if you're waiting for a bad guy to pop out of the bushes, I think you're making a big mistake. To me, the opposite of Antichrist is the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is, of course, not what authority and the experts say. It's the rule of opposites. It's never been wrong. If they say, oh, it could be, what did Sophie Sophia say in the, I was going to say in the Shawshank Redemption, in the Da Vinci Code, she wasn't with Andy Dufresne. Sophie Sophia says, what, sangria, I have a sangria, what, magic dishes? It's not magic dishes. It's not the cup that Jesus had at the Last Supper. If authority says it's that, then it's not that. If authority says, oh, it's the spear that pierced Jesus, well, who would save the spear? Hey, you going to save that? What? I just saw you pierce Jesus with that spear. You going to save that spearhead? What? It's just some stupid spearhead. I don't want it. You going to eat it? Give it to Mike. He eats anything. Nobody would have saved it. Nobody would. They wouldn't. They didn't. If Jesus is what the Christians say at that time, nobody would have recognized it, or at least the guy that put the spear in him. It's the cup that Jesus' blood came off the cross. Well, who would save that? It doesn't make no sense. It's ridiculous. It's not Sophie Sophia's magic dishes. It's what you are, what you need to do for yourself, the transformation here. What Tony talked about, you need to do things for your spiritual whole. With that stupid terms higher self, stupid terms oversoul. You're very important. What's that from The Help? You kind, you're special, you important. You're very important. That was a truth drop in The Help. You're very important. You need to do things for your spiritual whole. When you find it or you've done enough, that's the Holy Grail. So you could argue the biggest truth drop basically of all time in any movie, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Idiots, morons, retards out searching for it. The Holy Grail's in you. It's what you need to do for yourself. Worry about yourself. It's in you. It's what you need to do for your spiritual whole. There's nothing out there. There's nothing sangria and magic dishes. There's nothing out there to find. Out there is the screen, man. The screen's fucked up. It's in you. Monty Python just told you. It's a bunch of idiots. Are you banging coconut? I'm Arthur, King of the Britons. Get your master. I'm here on horseback. You're not on horseback. You're bagging, cocking coconuts. Get your master. I forget what he said. You know, it's like the witch scene. How do you know she's a witch? Burn her. But what also floats? A duck. So if she weighs as much as a duck, this is not Nilk logic, by the way. This is Common Core logic. If she weighs as much as a duck, then she's a witch. That is what they should teach in the elementary schools instead of Common Core. These kids will get out of high school less fucked up. Sorry. So in summary, before we get to the latest political and presidential race headlines, which I know you can't wait for as I can't, in summary, if the authority of this world tells you what Antichrist is, and it's something that you can look for and try to find and maybe put in a cage at some point in the future, and it tells you what you should believe about the Holy Grail, then just apply the rule of opposites. The Holy Grail is an object, and it's out there somewhere. And you could be like Arthur and his idiots. They were a bunch of idiots. You can go try to find it. It's an object. Oh, apply the rule of opposites. Forget all the people that put in 20, 30, 40 years of research on the Grail. We can figure out and get much, much closer just within 10 seconds. Oh, it's the opposite of that. It's not an object to find. It's etheric. It's potentially spiritual. It's in me. I already have it. Yet I need to find it and discover it. See, you just saved 40 years. That's the rule of opposites. Antichrist. Oh, I think it's going to be this. It's going to be this specific. It's going to be that specific. It's going to be this little snake that pops out of a bush. It's going to be whoever wins the next presidential election is we can point at it. No, then it's just the opposite. It's vague. It's general. It's trying to get you to become it, to lower you down on its frequency. It's nothing that can be pointed at. If you just take the rule of opposites, you can save yourself 40 years of wasted time research. So, Matt, by your own logic, then, say the Ark of the Covenant. You don't believe that's a real thing either, then? Well, especially since it was depicted in a certain way in Indiana Jones. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I would have to stick to my logic here. Don't think was it Solomon did Solomon use it or something? I asked Greg once, I said, is Solomon supposed to be somebody that people that read the Bible and a Christian is supposed to like? But then over here it says he controlled demons or something. Like, what, is he supposed to be a likable character related to David, or is he an unlikable character? I can never figure that out. I would think just by itself, if you try to control demons, that would be enough on the resume to say unlikable. But whatever, he somehow, did he use the Ark of the Covenant? I don't know. The Ark of the Covenant carried around by the tribes of Israel. If I was there in the tribe, I'd say, what are y'all doing with that? Has anybody looked inside of it? No, you can't. Well, look inside of it. That ain't nothing but a bread box. For 30 years, you've been carrying, that ain't nothing but a bread box. At least look inside of it. It could be a jack-in-the-box. Stop carrying the thing around. Carry what's functional. Carry food. Mend to your sheep. Stop carrying that darn thing around. I'm sorry. If the world or the Pope or whoever tells me that this is an object, this is a thing that should be sought out, then I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to read about it. I'm going to say, what does this potentially tell me about myself in the same way I would interpret the Holy Grail? Sorry, this is just how I see the world. And I've studied Knottnilk. I've studied its trick very closely for 15 to 20 years. Go think it can be found up on top of Mount Meru if you want to keep doing that. I think that's a mistake. Yesterday, when I told you about the Fish in a Barrel reality show, I alluded to the fact that this would be the format or the platform to really rip on the Knottnilk. Sure, we make fun of it in the old-fashioned radio show, Senator Marco Rubio bubble parties of Central and South Florida. What happens under the bubbles stays under the bubbles. Remember, it just came to me. Do you remember Marco Rubio? Was it about 12 to 15 years ago? He was giving the opposition address to the State of the Union. I guess Obama, that fool, Obama was president, and Marco Rubio, afterwards, we're going to go to the opposition. They do their little 15-minute in opposition. I mean, I haven't watched it for years, but this might be the last one I watch. If you're over age 45, you remember he just started to sweat profusely. He kept going to the water bottle. Remember, he's doing the State of the Union opposition speech. He basically, we don't believe in anything that was just said. Let me tell you why. Put the conservatives back in power. But there'll be more wars. Sure, there'll be more debt. But y'all do the same debt and the same wars. Hey, you're starting to come around. He just kept going to the water bottle, and I think his hair started to get soaked with sweat. It was really, Marco Rubio, if you're listening to me, and I'm sure you are, after that performance, you should just stick to the bubble parties business, dude. You have no business trying to represent people or the people, but we as they all do, we know they represent Knottnilk, not the Met story. This is the platform to really rip on Knottnilk. Okay, old-fashioned radio show, just make fun. Midnight reality, no, should be going forward, it'll be a more serious, not A and B, SERIOUS discussion on how the metaphysical reality works and our place in it. This is the format to really rip it a new one, and I'm just the guy to do it. So a segment inside the Fish in a Barrel reality show will be Knottnilk, what were you thinking? Knottnilk, what were you thinking? So just the other day, Not Milk puts that stooge, Elon Musk, up on stage at a Donald Trump political rally. And Donald Trump's doing his thing, Elon, come on up here. And did you see how it was the most cringeworthy thing I've ever seen in my entire life? Elon jogs up, usually with a t-shirt. It fits too tight, but his arms are all flabby. Looks like he's never, have you ever never picked up a dumbbell, Elon? Why don't you buy a universal press machine or something? I mean, and his pants are too usually some sort of black jeans. He looks like he got out of a Goodwill pile. He doesn't look like he dresses like a billionaire. He comes jogging up in the most cringeworthy thing you've ever seen. No, Not Milk, what were you thinking? So we all know it's not. Now, we all know it's all staged and he's just a puppet for other interests. And Elon doesn't even know even 5 employees of any of the businesses that he supposedly owns. But Not Milk, I mean, what are you trying to do there? Maybe we can come to the conclusion ourselves in terms of what it was thinking. So this person, Elon Musk, really is, though, still beloved in the liberal Democrat circles. Think who drives a Tesla. Okay, what type of people? You think it's all rednecks, red state rednecks between Harrisburg and Pittsburgh that drive Teslas? No, it's a lot of Democrat voters. So if anything was real Not Milk, if he was a real CEO that managed real businesses, you would just like want to stay neutral. You would give to both sides, as we hear they do, or you wouldn't go to a political rally and piss off, say, 50% of your Tesla customer base. You just wouldn't do it. If you really love Donald Trump and anything were real, you might have a phone conversation with that nobody knew about. Say, Donald, I'll do what I can for you, but it has to be very hush hush. And as Danny DeVito said in LA Confidential, hush hush on the QT, whatever that means. I'll help you, but nobody can know about it. Because see, we got a lot of fucking stupid ass Democrats that drive Teslas. He wouldn't go out there and stand with Donald. It's all Not Milk. It doesn't matter. If Tesla loses $1 billion because of it, it doesn't matter. If Disney loses $1 billion because they make more bad Star Wars, it doesn't matter. They're all one. They're all made whole. The money doesn't matter. You hear that? You idiotic movie reviewers and game reviewers? It has nothing to do with money. You hear the words coming out of my mouth? Critical drinker, disparu, nerdrotic, a robot head, just some guy. I'll give a pass to Echo Chamberlain, although he falls for it, but I like his humor. And I'll give a pass to my friend Dave. Other than, I don't know him, but I watch some of his videos. Other than that, they're a bunch of idiots. They still can't see that this stuff is being made bad on purpose. You don't put, Leslie Headland was trying her best with Star Wars The Acolyte, but the system put in a place a loser, complete loser that they know would fail. Leslie Headland isn't in on it at that low level, that idiot. She's an Acolyte herself of Not Milk. She's trying her best. It's like if they put me, Matt, on the 4x100 relay in the Olympics. With people like Usain Bolt, I would be trying my best, but I'd look like a fool. I wouldn't get no gold medal for the United States. It just puts people in that it knows will fail. That's how they're not in on it at the low level. They're trying to make something. They're just not capable of it. These movie reviewers and game reviewers, they just don't get it. The point is, before going on a tangent and just ripping them for the next half hour, it's never in this world about money. It's about degrading a real spiritual being to a lower frequency. It's always the same sentence. Got to pause for a second. What was said earlier is bugging me about King Solomon and the Ark of the Covenant. Looking it up now, like walking the mile, looking it up, walking the mile. Google says, yes, King Solomon used the Ark of the Covenant. You sneaky bastard. It says here, AI overview. Hey, thanks. AI overview. Mom, look. Built by Moses. According to the Bible, Moses built the ark to hold the 10 Commandments at God's, Pootie Tang Award. Everybody knows that. What do you think they were trying to open up in Indiana Jones? Of course, I didn't think it was really a bread box in terms of what I said earlier. I still wouldn't have carried it around and say, why don't you put that damn thing down? Just look at the 10 Commandments, write it down on a piece of parchment. It don't weigh 90 pounds. We're the tribes of Israel. We got to go all over this godforsaken place. Leave the heavy object be. Just write the commandments down, or better yet, memorize them. It was said that Homer, who wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey, Homer and his band of merry men, they memorized it. They didn't have nothing written down. They went town to town. Sparta! They went in there and they just said it, thousands of lines. And you people can't memorize 10 commandments? What's wrong with you people? They got fluoride in the water back then? Come on. All right, continue with the AI overview. I just wanted to see what it says about Solomon here. King David brought the ark to Jerusalem, where his son Solomon installed it in the Solomon Brothers building 7. No, in the Temple of Jerusalem. It says installed. It ain't no carpet. It says Solomon installed it. It ain't no roll-to-wall carpet. You don't use the word install, AI overview. It was placed in the Holy of Holies, which is the temple's innermost sanctum, it says, the Holy of Holies, which was only accessible to the Israelite high priest once a year. So you got this Holy of Holies, and you only let one guy go in once a year? What's the point? You don't open Six Flags and let one person in once a year. Shouldn't it be shared with everyone? This reminds me of the Vatican Library. Isn't it like only the Pope could get in? Or if you're a cardinal even, you got to get permission from the one guy can get in. The Pope approaches the door. There's a guard. He says, I went in. Who are you? I'm the Pope. I want my Archie and Jughead cartoons are in here. Let me in. Only one guy can get in the Vatican Library. This is the same thing. Let's just get through this. The ark was placed beneath the wings of 2 large cherubim. The cherubs, little baby things with wings. The Ark of the Covenant was placed beneath the wings, like the real wings, or was it a statue depictions? Somebody ripped the wings off cherubim what the? And what I thought, I don't. These little babies with wings. What are these things? I know they're angelic or whatever, but they rub me the wrong way. They're creepy to me. Why do you have to put the wings, whether they real or statue depiction, above the ark? What does the ark care? When the priests emerged from the holy place after placing the ark, that doesn't even make sense. The AI wrote this. A thick cloud filled the temple when the priests emerged. Why? The humidity level in there would have been off the charts. If you want to preserve the ark, you don't want that humidity getting in there. This doesn't make any sense. And finally, it says here at the bottom of the AI overview, which I'm so appreciative of, the Ark of the Covenant is said to have disappeared. Oh, there it is again, around 2,000 years ago, as they all do. Do you think it disappeared the same week or month that the Holy Grail disappeared? Okay, and why did Arthur and his band of merry men, that's Robin Hood, but Arthur and Galahad and Gawain and Sir this and Sir that, why were they so interested in the Grail? Why didn't one of them stand up and say, why don't we look for the Ark of the Covenant? It's a lot bigger. It's easier to find. This focus on the Grail is Ark of the Covenant discrimination. The Grail was the Grail was drank by white people. The Ark of the Covenant, Arthur said as he looked over the merry men around the round table, he says, we think this is in Ethiopia, as it says. I'll get to that in just a second. Move to Ethiopia. We don't want to go there. Arthur his merry men were a bunch of racists, it seems. It says potentially the Ark of the Covenant is now in Ethiopia, and it even says in the town it thinks it is. It may reside in the town of Axum. Well, why don't we go there and get it? If we know where, how come Indiana Jones didn't go there? The truthers love this. All the hidden Christian secrets are in Ethiopia. And those sons of bitches are just pretending to be poor Bedouins. Give me this is ridiculous. Huh? This isn't a cut on the Christian religion, not at all. The teachings and followings of Jesus Christ and the 4 Gospels, this isn't that, is it? Really? Why don't you the Christians they should pilgrimage to Ethiopia to find this shit the way the Muslims go to Mecca. And one final time, the teachings of Jesus Christ, if you're a Christian, as outlined in the New Testament, is not this sort of legend and lore, is it? About finding artifacts and things that the Nazis tried to wield, and when they gave up on the Ark of the Covenant, as it was put down in Indiana Jones, they went and turned their attention to the Glocker, the Nazi bell, der Glocker. I'm sorry. If it was presented in Indiana Jones in a movie, I don't believe that's what it really is. I don't have a good answer for what the Ark of the Covenant could mean to me, the way I have a real clear understanding, in my opinion, of what the Holy Grail is. I don't know what it is. All I know is what the authority tells us is typically 179.5 degrees wrong. I know that Donald Trump, BB, the Not Milk itself, is very interested in Solomon's Temple 1. Solomon's Temple 2, both coincidentally destroyed on the 9th day of the 11th month. That it's still the numbers in sequence. The Temple 1, Jerusalem. Temple 2, Jerusalem. Destruction. The 9th day of the... Matt, that's November. It's the number sequence. And all this talk about what will be the third temple. And the first grade truthers yelling out, it's already been built. The third temple, all this horse shit. They're putting it on coins. And here's the point. Let's just cut right to the chase. Maybe I'm a little bit too all over the place. If the not milk via Donald Trump and Bibi and all the others are very and so interested in Temple 1, Temple 2, and the building of Temple 3, they're so interested in that aspect, whether it comes from the Old Testament or not, then I would advise you to not really be interested or put stock in what the not milk is interested in. They're trying to corrupt it. Really? Are they? Again, if not milk is interested in it, my advice to you is to run in the opposite direction. So this sort of thing, the Solomon's Temple, the Temple 1, Temple 2, the holiest of holies, to me, I mean, again, I have somebody that's interested in the teachings of Jesus Christ. I don't see how one relates in any way to the other. And not milk is heavily involved in one of the two. You know what? I forgot to look at headlines before starting this to make sure Tucson is still with us or something really gigantic hasn't happened in the world that makes maybe some of this conversation a bit trivial. When this is the top story, we know things are kind of okay. Harris is in excellent health. her physician says. The vice president and presidential nominee for the Democrats has seasonal allergies and hives. Ew! I thought Frank was kind of cute. Ew! She has seasonal allergies and hives and is nearsighted, her doctor said in a letter. Whew! Oh, thank goodness. I was so worried about the health of my candidate. Oh my God. This is the number one news story in the world. And when this is, we're doing okay. Looking over the headlines, here's a great way to talk about not milk, or for me to explain what I believe it is or how it influences without people being in the know or being in on it. It says here, Ethel Kennedy dies at age 96. Now, Ethel Kennedy is RFK, Bobby's wife. She, with Bobby and Jack and John F. Kennedy and Jackie Kennedy and Ethel. Okay, this goes back, her fame goes back, of course, to the early 60s. Just died, yesterday, age 96. Now, the story, everything she's seen, everything she's been involved in, of course, it would be a 500 or 1,000-page book. You know, in my opinion, what Ethel knows? Nothing. Next to nothing. I think she believes every bit of what history tells us about the Kennedys. And she would say, what are you idiots talking about not milk? I lived it. Who's it? She would believe every bit of it. I'm convinced of this, that if you are right in the middle of not milk, one of its key players, you believe everything is normal. Like George W. Bush, in my opinion, believed he was the president of the United States. I don't believe he really even understood the power structure of this, even at that level. Maybe Dick Cheney, as his handler, knew a little bit more. Yes, does he believe exactly what the guy on the street believes about the 7-Eleven job application? Would he think there's some issues there? Yes, but is he fully in the know on what happened that day? In my opinion, no. And this is supposed to be an ex-president of the United States. So somebody like Ethel Kennedy, in the middle of the Kennedy clan, I believe she knows nothing. And her account of history would be no different than the history books present. And we'll talk about this evil influence, this thing called not milk, and she would think we're absolutely crazy. And that does not mean we're wrong. I think we can see through this reality better than most of the minions inside what is called not milk. They're no different than the roles being played by your family and friends. They're just in the middle of it. They believe in it maybe more than anybody else. Now, as I've said, I've got to do this every time. I think there is a group here that you'll never see on television. The names will never become famous, that understand, how this reality works. I don't believe they really convene with Bill's floating Baphomet presented in the poster, but something weird, it's not an eyes wide shut party you'd ever want to attend. I think there's a small group that understands somehow, but you'll never see them on television. You'll never know the name. So if it's the level of Dick Cheney, who's obviously the handler for some buffoon like George W. Bush, at that level, it sounds arrogant, guys, but for the most part, we understand what's going on in this reality, I believe, better than they do. Not how to manipulate it, not how to screw entire populations and collapse currencies. That's all on the ground stuff. They believe in this material world, even if what Tony said about them as them being sequential incarnations and have more of an understanding, or even an understanding of past lives, or an understanding of what their role is, or a different relationship, as Tony put it, with higher self. They're a less advanced spiritual being than you are. It still doesn't mean that they would just necessarily know more than, say, we do about what we believe this reality is for. They understand their role and how everybody gets screwed and how everything is rigged and the game and the reality buttons and levers. Sure, things we'll never understand, but that's like the inner workings of the machine, the gears of that. What is that? What's the point? I want to know the big picture at 100,000 feet, how all the machines work together. They understand the machine in ways we'll never know. Well, so what? That's the level, as Tony said, they're game addicted. That's the level that they want to stay at. So Ethel Kennedy, in my opinion, the first grade truther will disagree in every regard. In my opinion, knew nothing, and most of them know 95 to 98% less than you think they do. Okay, here's a little synchronicity. This type of thing happens to us all the time. Earlier, I talked about, related to the Ark and the Covenant, Indiana Jones, and said that a few times, and hadn't gone to the headlines yet. Headline, first one all the way off to the right, secret tomb found under the Indiana Jones filming location in Petra. I didn't have to search it. It's the top story on the third column, which from the height of the website is equal to the main story about Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is in excellent health. Remember, their doctor said they're just seasonal allergies and hives. Ew! Could you imagine uncovering one of her hives, whether you're her doctor or husband or partner or whatever? Ew! God, they have to put it like that when I'm eating. This is on, it's not like at the bottom. Secret tomb under the Indiana Jones filming location in Petra. They didn't go out to Petra to film Indiana Jones. It was a Hollywood basement, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers say they fake space. What do you Petra? This whole Petra thing. I never been to Jordan. I doubt I'll ever go to Jordan. You know how quick they'd snatch me up if we did Not Milk travel tours to Jordan? Let's do Not Milk travel tours. That way we won't get snatched up and put in prison. This Petra thing carved in the side of a rock. I might agree with the first grade truther at this one. That was carved in the side of the rock in 1945, Matt, during the 1944, where everybody was occupied with World War II. Then they just created this backstory called Petra. And the UNESCO could come in and put their sticky fingers and put their plaques up. UNESCO World Heritage Site. You know what? I wouldn't give a squirt of piss for anything UNESCO says. If they say it's a World Heritage Site and they tell me about its history, I know that it's not the real history. You can just take whatever UNESCO says and just throw it right in the trash can. This was a headline from a few days ago, so we missed this spectacle in the night sky. Comet, likely last seen when Neanderthals walked the Earth, could soon dazzle the night sky. It said 80,000 years since this comet has been here. And first off, there's a lot of things going on here. They just love, when the Not Milk loves to bring back the notion that Neanderthals walked the earth. I mean, it's almost, this platform is about ripping Not Milk, and Not Milk, in terms of your ruse in this regard, it is really pathetic. It's like you shove it in everywhere you can. Neanderthals, reminding us weekly that there were these beings called Neanderthals. I mean, I'm not really prepared to talk about it. At the first level, it just cements the notion, of course, that we all came from monkey man per Darwin. If you can get people to believe that there was another species that went extinct, you're 99% there. in getting the real spiritual being believe they came from monkey man and marmot. I mean, I think there's other things going on because they don't talk about the other species like Homo erectus erection, and they talk mostly 99% about Neanderthal. There's something going on there. They'll eventually probably use it. They've implanted it like Leonardo DiCaprio da Vinci's Inception so many different times that they've implanted that this species, it's probably about Elon Musk's Mars, and we need to become a space-faring nation when nobody can go nowhere. See, this species went extinct. What makes you Homo sapiens sapien? That means you're double dumb. What makes you think you're special? They didn't got no pollution back then. They didn't got no problems that we have, and they went extinct. They stunk, but they went extinct. So we have big problems. That's the subliminal message, that if one set of poor devils can die out, then us poor devils can die out. And we better give Elon Musk more of our money so we can become a space-faring nation. Well, wait, Elon, I'm putting my hand up. Ooh, calling me. Ooh. It's not time for questions. I want to ask a question. Well, why you want to get a population of people on Earth to Mars, get your ass to Mars, when there's no breathable air, there's nothing that can be grown in the soil, and it got no rain, it just got red sand, it's completely lifeless and inhospitable, when even though our planet's kind of going down the tubes, it's still 98% better than Mars. Why you want to go to the lifeless planet when you still got grass that grows here? It don't make no sense. You would at least try to make the best of what we have here, and then when it becomes like Death Valley, then we go to Mars, but not before. The whole notion of it don't make no sense. And all the people with their Elon Musk's posters on their ceilings just bow down before it like it's something just and righteous we all should be doing. And because Elon Musk was mentioned, this is another great opportunity to ask Knottnilk, what were you thinking? Knottnilk, what were you thinking? Putting that mindless stooge, Elon Musk, up as the front person, basically positioning him as the smartest man in the world. Maybe you have to do this sort of thing by on a contractual basis or something, or to meet certain idiotic quotas or something. But you basically put somebody that literally appears to be retarded, you're presenting that person as the smartest man in the world via the richest person in the world, because people can't tell the difference. If it's the richest person to the man and woman on the street, then it's the smartest person. To people like my cousin, he really is the inventor of the Tesla car. He really is replacing NASA. They believe every bit of it. But we see basically somebody that acts like they just ate paint chips as a kid. Their mother served nothing but paint chips with cream corn. He's literally retarded. So I would just ask Knottnilk if it could respond to this when it gets back to us regarding Knottnilk Free Zone. What were you thinking? Couldn't you find anybody that appeared intelligent? It must be some sort of a contract or some sort of quota that it needed to satisfy to stay in power or something. See, so many people that are presented as the 3 Ps, presidents, prime ministers, premiers, and assistant ski instructors, they have to put people up that the average person on the street should see has some sort of mental disorder, or let's say below a Forrest Gump IQ. And if the people believe in the 3 Ps, that they're really their leaders, then I guess it gives the Knottnilk contractual basis to continue its screw job over people. I can't think of anything else. I'll look to your comments. Here's another stalled century element. Mary J. Blige is going back on tour. Mary J. Blige. I thought, you sweet thing, you're my everything. I liked that. I thought it was Mary J. Blige. She stole that from Shaka Khan. She stole that from Shaka Khan. I mean, does anybody have an original song? And she was actually in real close with Diddy. If you believe that, she's trying to separate or distance herself from Diddy. Say, Mary J., how close were you with Diddy? Who? Who? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, she was very close with Daddy. Sorry. That's a stalled century element that I just noticed. Is anybody going on the Mary J. Blige tour? But what I was going to say is far more SCRIOUS. One or two things concern me in terms of some of these dark discussions we have. I can laugh most of it off. But in terms of why they're trying to stall out time, it does concern me a bit that there is some sort of finish line that they're looking to cross. I mean, maybe it is a race against time between how long they can stall everything out, and the race on the other side is how quickly they can move the majority of the population into the digital world or into the digital environment. If that's the race, then I'm not terribly concerned about it. It's not as dark as I sense it may be. But they're shooting to get to a finish line of sorts. I don't think it's just as simple as what we've talked about in the past, just stalling out time because they're on the verge of losing their power or relinquishing control. I wish it's that. I hope someday their astrology is up and they've literally lost their ability to do anything. And I don't know, the Rose Garden someday behind the White House, somebody just takes a podium. Like, who are you? We're expecting the president. And some guy or some girl comes out and says, well, you don't know me. We've been in the shadows. But see, me and about 12 other people, we run everything. We go, what? Who are you? Where's the president? Right here. See, I have to prove to you now. We've been running everything for how long? Since the times of the Knights Templar and 1,000 years before that. See, I'll bring the president out now, whoever it may be. President comes out with the assistant ski instructor. It'll be just like the Eddie Murphy movie Coming to America, but before he canceled or postponed the wedding. He's like, he said, this person at the podium who you don't know is telling everybody in the press conference they run everything. They're saying to the current president of the United States, they're saying, stand on one foot. Remember that scene where he met his bride-to-be for the first time, Eddie Murphy, in Coming to America? He says, bark like a dog. Oof, 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 oof. And she's hopping on one foot, barking, oof, oof. The person at the podium, he says, you've never seen me before, but we control everything. He's doing that to the assistant ski instructor too, and the premier of China is doing the same. They're jumping on one foot. Says, why? I can't really impress upon you that we in a small group control everything more than that. Look, they're still hopping around. But see, the person says, I wanted to take a podium and show my face because we've been in the shadows. You know, we are a non-human. We crave a little bit of limelight, and it's our last day of control. And I just wanted to take a podium for the first time because me and my ilk are tired of operating in the shadows. So we'll leave all this infrastructure to you good people. Have fun with it. And maybe Henry Kissinger was right. When those lights and those freeways don't work next week, remember you had it good when the Notnook was in place. Goodbye. And they're waving they're hanging off the back of the Love Boat. Goodbye. Hope you poor devils can manage all this on your own. I don't know. I'll take my chances, Notnook, with that. It'll be bad for a few years, but maybe real people will learn to live without you. We can only hope.